Good morning. Today is Tuesday, March 28th, 2023. In just a few days, a week from tomorrow night, we will begin celebrating the holiday of Passover, Pesach, and we will do so by retelling the story of our slavery in Egypt and our redemption into freedom at God's hand. Pesach is the festival of gratitude for all the kindness God has shown us throughout our history. And gratitude is intrinsic to our Jewish sensibility. In fact, even our name, Jew, the word Jew, which comes from the Hebrew word Yehuda, Judah, that word Yehuda means to give thanks to God. His mother, Leah, our matriarch, named him to express gratitude for the gift of the birth of this son, Yehuda, Judah, and we are Yehudim, Jews. Last night, I got a phone call from Rabbi Moshe Glustein. We speak often, and we work together on a number of initiatives. Before he came to the subject he wanted to discuss, he shared with me in Dvar Torah the following idea, and I plan to share this at my Seder, and I offer to you the same. The passage from the Torah that we quote and analyze in order to tell the story of our exodus from Egypt is a passage of 4 psukim, 4 verses, and it starts with the famous words, Arami Oved Avi, our forefather was a wanderer, Vayera Mitzrayim, and he went down to Egypt, and it tells the story in very brief form of our slavery and redemption in Egypt. And we analyze and interpret each phrase, each word, to review the details and the drama of our experience for the retelling at the Passover Seder. But his question is, that passage that we quote, it's from Sefer Dvarim, the book of Deuteronomy. It is part of a retelling 40 years after the actual events took place. Why not quote from the book of Shemos, the book of Exodus? The account that the Torah gives us as the events were actually happening. And Rabbi Glustein answered, because the context of the passage we quote is part of a mitzvah. It's the mitzvah of Bikurim, bringing first fruits. In Dvarim, the 5th book of the Torah, Deuteronomy, the Torah commands that when you shall grow your crops in Israel, you should take some of the new best crops, the first fruits that flower on your trees, and you bring them as a gift offering to Jerusalem. And when you come, you recite the following statement, which is a brief retelling of our history, ending with, and now we are grateful to you, God, for bringing us to the land of Israel and giving us these first fruits, and I now bring this offering of first fruits in honor of gratitude for what you have done for us. So this passage is a brief review of our history, but within the context of gratitude. And we quote that passage at our Seder because the purpose of our telling our story at the Seder is to express gratitude to God, not just to review history, not just to get together, but to express gratitude. Our sages recognized 2 levels of gratitude. The first is to recognize what we have received, and we refer to this as hakaras hatov, to recognize the good that is done to us. But there is a second level. The second level is to feel that what we have received is more than we actually deserve. To feel that God has been amply generous with us. And we would do well to remember this at the Seder, especially as we begin to say what is perhaps the most well-known passage associated with the Seder, the 4 questions, which begins, Mah Nishtaneh? Why is tonight different from all other nights? In order to initiate the telling of the story, children begin by asking these 4 traditional questions, perhaps some more of their own, and perhaps some more of our own. And the story is then told via the parents' answers to these questions. Now, 4 questions. The first question is, why on Pesach do we eat matzah? Of course, we know from the beginning of the Seder, matzah is lechem oni, the bread of poor people. That's the first question. Second question is, why on this night do we eat bitter herbs? The third question is, why on this night do we eat delicacies where one food is dipped into another, into a condiment, which is a luxurious practice associated with aristocracy? And the fourth question is, why, when eating on this night, do we recline like kings and queens? Now, notice that the first 2 questions relate to remembering we were slaves. Why were things so bad for us then that we had to eat matzah, that we remember it with maror, bitter herbs? The second 2 questions relate to our freedom. Why are things so good for us now that we're eating delicious foods dipped one into another and reclining like aristocracy? Now, last week we discussed how and why these 2 themes are intertwined throughout the Seder. But here's the point. We are a people of questions. But for many of us, most of our questions are only of the first type. Why are things so bad? How often do we question why things are so good? What did I do to deserve something that went well? There was a man who owned and ran a factory. And he once came to the Chavetz Chaim, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kagan of Radin, the great Chavetz Chaim, and he was complaining about his business, and he said to the Chavetz Chaim, some of my workers are so bad, they come late, they're lazy, they're careless. What did I do to deserve such bad workers? Why is God punishing me with such bad workers? And the Chavetz Chaim said to him, do you have any good workers? And the man said, yes, I do have some good workers. And the Chavetz Chaim said to him, and what did you do to deserve the good workers? Did you think to ask God why you should deserve to have the good workers? All of our questions are legitimate. But Pesach is a perfect time to reflect on the type of questions we are asking. In order to reach the highest level of gratitude possible and to focus on the appreciation of God's abundant gifts to us, to ask the second kind of question, why are things so good? And not only to ask the questions, why are things so bad? Both exist. We ask both types of questions. But at the Pesach Seder, we should remember to focus on the second. My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.